All right. So, speaking of death, I know I'm probably the one who speaks about death the most because when people talk about me, they're like, "Are you obsessed with death?" Death is obsessed with me. So, death is not just the physical death, it is also liberation, transformation, growth, changing jobs, moving, relocating, losing people in a form of relationships, right? You no longer friends with a person, losing your health, losing your ability to see things in the old layer because you had a spiritual transformation. There's so many ways to describe death, but it is always a loss. It is a loss of the self and the identity that you hold in regard to that self. Whether it is a loss of the self because a person is physically no longer here and your identity is rooted in who they were in your life and who you were in their life, or it could be a loss of a job and your identity is rooted in who you are in that job or what that job brings to you. Same thing with a relationship. This is why people grieve relationships so hard because they don't really understand that when they lose the partner, they lose a part of themselves that they see in that relationship. It is a death to the self and who you were, whether you were a victim in the relationship, whether you were the person taking care of someone, a support system. A part of yourself is dies when each relationship ends. And after that death comes transformation, and a new part of yourself either is reawakened or a new version exists that starts from the beginning, a version of you that you did not know was possible. Sometimes it's a strength that you did not know you had. You thought you could never get past something, and now you find that you can. Of course, the ultimate form of death in this world is the physical transition. But before the physical transition happens, there's other transitions that happen, such as loss of functionality and sometimes having to move in with people and have them take care of you. There's so many levels of the death process. As a death doula, I deal with multiple levels of it. And I like to think of myself not just as a deaf doula, but kind of a spiritual deaf transition coach because I deal with people who are going through loss in multiple layers and death on so many different layers before they have that physical part. Even the death of finances for some people and their inability to pay for things and now having to rely on other people. It's just so many levels to it. But it all takes someone who is really, really in a state of self reflection to understand what the death process is for them and what it means, what it's bringing into their life, and where they go from that point. So many people get caught up when I say questions or thoughts about death, and they're like, oh, I'm not dying. And it's like, but you are. You're stuck in a job that's sucking the life out of you. You are absolutely dying in that job instead of living and thriving. You could be dying while being alive, or you could be dying while being dead inside, right? So you're literally dead every day, going to work, punching that clock. Or, because we're all dying and this decaying, but we can be thriving and alive and beautiful as we go through that process. And I like for people to be beautiful as they go through their death process. Some of y'all are really ugly.